So Josie was a perfectly normal newborn. She passed the newborn screening. I had never heard of homocystinuria. It wasn't until she actually started kindergarten. So she was 5 years old. It was just a couple weeks into kindergarten, and the teacher asked to have a meeting with me, and it was like she wanted to say Josie. She thought Josie had a learning disability, but she wouldn't say those words. She said Josie seemed to have trouble processing what was on the board to get it onto her paper. And so we signed her up to get a learning disabilities evaluation. And before that, though, I thought, you know what, I better get her eyes checked again. She did wear glasses at the time. But I took her to our optician, and he kept looking and looking. And so finally he said, you know what, there's something going on with her eyes, and I can't figure it out. I'm going to refer you to Cincinnati Children's Hospital. And so we went to Cincinnati Children's. We saw an ophthalmologist there, and our 45-minute appointment turned into about a 3-hour appointment. And they just kept calling person after person into the room, and I knew there was something serious going on. And so finally they told me that both lenses in her eyes were subluxated. And I remember asking the ophthalmologist, I said, well, is this common or uncommon? And she said, it's uncommon. And I said, well, what does that mean? She said, well, in 15 years, I've had about 3 patients who've had dislocated lenses, and each of them had Marfan's. And so immediately that's what I thought it was Marfan's. And so I tried to learn everything I could on Marfan's, and she was clinically assessed. And then finally we did genetic testing. They said, no, she doesn't have Marfan's. And so there's a very short list of what could cause this symptom in a child so young. And initially they did not think she had homocystinuria because she's so dark-skinned and dark-haired. But it turned out she did, in fact, have it, and she had high homocysteine levels. And so finally it was December of 2017 when we received her diagnosis. So it was about a 4-month journey from the initial visual problems she was having in school until figuring out exactly what it was. So in that sense, I feel very fortunate because that's a short window to get her diagnosed in from hearing other patients' HCU stories. So our day-to-day experience in caring for Josie with homocystinuria is it's evolved. Initially, we were very on edge and wondering, how do we take care of this? What do we do? I remember the first time going to a grocery store after her diagnosis. I stood in the middle of the aisle and just started crying because everything around you is filled with protein. And it took a while to get our footing, and now our day-to-day routine is just that. It's a very solidified routine. She gets up in the morning, she has her betaine, she has a breakfast of some sort. It's always some, low-protein breakfast, whether it's a waffle, like a gluten-free waffle, or just a waffle from one of the medical food companies, fruit, and we pack her lunch for school every day. We do that the night before. So it's just very routine. She comes home, she'll have her snack either at our house, or she goes across the street to her grandma's and has like a baked apple or applesauce or something of the low protein variety. And then dinner, that's something we still struggle with because I have 3 other children and they don't have homocystinuria. So it's a daily kind of challenge to come up with meals that satisfy both types of diets in our family, but we make it work. And she does her medicine at night, and we try to do a formula, maybe a little in the morning and a little at night. And so it takes a lot of planning. If we know we're going out to eat, that's a whole other ball game, and we have to prepare for that. But one thing that does help us is a spreadsheet. We keep an Excel spreadsheet of every single thing she eats. Every gram of protein ingested is kept on a spreadsheet, and we've done that since January 1st of 2018. So I'm still going strong. So challenges that my husband and I face in caring for Josie with her homocystinuria, I would say first it's getting her to drink her formula. She struggles with that. The taste is so strong and it's really rough on her stomach. But we try to emphasize to her how important it is for her nutrition and her health and just the way she feels on a daily basis. Another challenge is really trying to help her cope with feeling left out a lot because she goes to birthday parties or things at school, and they had Chick-fil-A at a birthday party last week and she couldn't have it, and I know she felt very left out. And so I tried to do my best to always make sure she has something else, but it's hard when the item is, chicken nuggets. She doesn't want, veggie nuggets. So there's a lot of French fries in her life. I can tell you that. My biggest concern about homocystinuria is just maintenance of the diet and medication when she's older. And so I'm trying my best, and my husband is trying his best to enable her to have the tools to be a self-advocate and to be able to care for herself and know how to take her medication and measure it out properly and know the importance of her formula, and just really be able to navigate all the foods in the world today to things that are healthy for her body. My single greatest hope for Josie's future is exactly the same as my other kids. It's that she grows up to be a happy, productive, caring, and kind individual who reaches her greatest potential in life. And, whatever that may be, I try to provide all my kids with the tools that they can do that. And Josie might have to take a little different path, but we're going to help her get there. And I really feel like when she was first diagnosed, I was so scared that she just wouldn't be able to grow up and get married and have kids and do all the things that make you such a happy, well-rounded person. But being part of HCU Network America has disproved that. And so I'm so grateful to see the adults here who have their children and their careers, and they're successful and happy and good people. My single greatest hope for homocystinuria in general is obviously that there would be a cure. But if there's not a cure, then just really making it as easy as possible to live on a daily basis with this. And I think I'm so, so grateful for the era that we live in. Just a few decades ago, there was not vegan cheese, and there were not items like gluten-free pizza crust and all these great items that now we can buy in grocery stores. And so I just hope that this is a trend that keeps going on, just making it easier for all kids who have to be on low-protein diets. But ultimately, yes, I would love a cure. I know that there's been some progress in enzyme replacement therapy in the PKU arena, and so that gives me hope for the HCU arena as well. If I had one message to convey to the general public about homocystinuria, honestly, since Josie was missed in the newborn screening, I would say that parents need to be aware of it. I mean, I had never heard of homocystinuria. And to find out that my husband and I were both carriers and that here is our daughter who has this was really life-changing. And so it really opened my eyes to all the different things that can happen to your children that generally you take for granted that don't happen. But when they do, it makes you a much more sympathetic and empathetic person toward anyone with any type of rare disease or not rare disease, whether it's autism or gluten intolerance, anything like that.